Today is April 12th, 2023, and can you say your name for me?
Davidson Farmi.
Awesome. And so where is home for you right now?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
And where were you born? Where are you from?
So I was born in Haiti. I'm from Haiti. Yeah.
How long have you been in the area? What was kind of that transition?
I moved here 2018, so it's been like almost 5 years.
Awesome. And what was the reason for that?
School. So I come after I graduate high school, come to community college, and then get my associate and then transfer to Queens.
Awesome. And could you describe your experience during the last 2 or 3 years of the COVID pandemic?
It was terrible. So I lived with a family friend. So she had a kidney transplant. So I couldn't do much because she was like high risk. So I had to stay inside.
And what do you remember of kind of the early days and the lockdown, and what was that like?
Actually, I was excited for it because like there's like school was out for 1 week. And then they kept saying school gonna be out for 1 more week. So I was happy to be home. And then after 1 month, I was like, hell no, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Was that why you were still getting your associates?
Yes.
Okay. And so your classes were online? What was that experience like?
All classes were online. And my grade didn't change compared to before COVID. So it was pretty good, pretty much. But I feel like I didn't learn much. So.
And what was that experience like kind of socially? What were you doing?
Socially wasn't good. I tried to do things online, like I tried to do Model UN online and try to do volunteer to, I forgot what it's called. I tried to volunteer online with like a nursing home where like we'll have like weekly meetings with seniors, do a little math with them, play games with them. So, yeah.
And what did you like? What was like the social distancing like for you? What was it kind of like going? Like you said, you didn't go out much. What was it like when you did?
We were just like the only things I do is like I walk our dog, just like we walk in the pathway. But if somebody's coming, we kind of like cross the street and try to stay away from the person.
Yeah. And what was it like when it like restrictions were changing? What was that process like over time of like finding out new information, kind of dealing with changes going on?
Say that again? Can you?
Yeah. So like kind of what was it like in the transition? Because like stuff was ever changing, like it was evolving. You were people were finding out new information about COVID, mask restrictions were changing, all that kind of stuff.
Things didn't change for us until we got our first shot. After my first shots, I kind of like visit some friends, and then after a second shot, I was like, we were kind of like more open to see friends, and then people could come over to see us.
Okay. And how did the pandemic kind of change your routines on like a more like daily level?
During the pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was the same thing every day. Just wake up, get breakfast. I hop into some Zoom for classes, and then it's lunchtime, walk the dog, get lunch, and then do some schoolwork, and then the day is over pretty much.
Like living in a time loop.
Yeah, it was the same thing every day and every day.
What did you do anything differently like once the semester was over, during the summer or anything? Did you like work or have anything?
We traveled to Vermont. We would do like car trips, or like ride all the way to Vermont. Spend a couple days in the mountains, couple weeks, and then come back to Charlotte, do the same thing again.
And what did any of your relationships change during the pandemic with either your friends or your family? Did it like kind of change any of those dynamics?
It changed in a way like I had so much time. I was able to make like deeper connections, meaningful friendships. So. Yeah.
And how did you like stay in touch with since you said you weren't going out, did you still maintain some of those relationships outside of your house?
Yes, we'll have like daily FaceTimes. Like we'll play games online, and yeah. Just,
Okay, so you like came up with solutions to kind of deal with being alone.
Yeah.
Awesome. What are some of like the long-lasting consequences of the pandemic that you've seen? Like, how has it like changed stuff more in a permanent way?
I would say it makes me wanna like broaden my connections, like have more friends, like because like during the pandemics, like I feel like I had a lot of friends, but it wasn't enough. Like since like you are like talking to them every day, like you kind of need new people to talk to. So like it kind of make me like be more open to for new friends.
Okay. And is there anything like broader, like long-lasting consequences, like for society or like locally that you've seen outside of just maybe your personal experience?
None that I know of.
Okay. Were there any positives that you got?
I think I would say like it kind of like make a lot of things more remote, like or like people are more open, like to have interviews online, like have like yeah, like work online, like this sort of things. I think it's change.
Mm-hmm. Were there any like positive changes that you saw come out of the pandemic, either for you personally or just in general?
Personally, it was just like it was helping me manage my time and then like kind of make me self-aware like of my strength and my weakness in a way. Like I had more time to reflect on those.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything like in general outside of you that you saw, maybe any positives? Any for like your family members or people you like know?
I got closer with my family, and I'm sure like it happened for a lot of families too.
Yeah. What did you miss the most during the pandemic?
The time. We had so much time. That's the time. I miss that.
How has this experience kind of shaped you as a person? Do you feel like different afterwards?
Not really. I say like I was able to get back to my old self like pretty quick after the pandemic.
How long were you away from Haiti because of the pandemic? Because you couldn't travel, right?
Let's see, the pandemic started like right after I got back from Haiti. Started in January 2020, and then I was able to go back in the summer 2021. Did I get that wrong? Yeah, summer 2021.
So over a year.
Yeah, more than a year.
So what was that like since a lot of your family is there?
Kind of like depressing a little because I wanted to see them, be part of my culture, like the food. I miss the food, the family, the friends. So.
And has that made you like more like aware and like prioritizing about like making time to see everybody?
Yeah, it kind of make me like now make me want to go home more than once a year because I used to go home once a year. Now I try to go like twice a year.
Yeah, you want to make the most of it. Yeah, definitely makes sense. What do you think your future will look like after this? Did it impact anything of like how you see yourself moving forward?
No.
Okay. Do you have any like stories from the time during like the pandemic? Anything like it could be like a bad story, it can be a good story, something funny, just something weird, anything that happened to you that you remember?
I would say after my first shot, I thought like I got the information wrong where like I thought like I would be like my family got the shot, I got the shot. I thought everybody would be safe, and I went to a party, and then like when I got back, and we kind of like talk a little bit, and then read about it. It's like I was putting them in danger. I think that was bad because I got the information wrong.
Yeah, there was a lot of confusing things to figure out. That makes sense.
Yeah, there was like a lot of like false news, like mixed news. Like sometimes you read something and in 1 year you think, okay, that's right, but it's not.
Yeah. Everybody was saying something different.
Yeah, pretty much.
Any other stories or anecdotes or anything that
No.
happened? Just the whole idea. It was overall just
Boring.
boring.
A lot of time to kill. It was kind of like a little depressing for me because I couldn't play soccer. I think soccer is kind of like my therapy. Like that's what I do when I'm down or like when I want to have fun, and I couldn't do that, so it was kind of depressing.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Do you think the pandemic like helped people get outside more or anything, or like encourage that? Do you think your family did?
Yeah, I think like it kind of encouraged it because like when it first started, like I would like because I couldn't play soccer, I didn't want to do any exercise and stuff. But like after a while, I couldn't do anything. I was just like, we'll exercise every day, like try to run every day. But yeah.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything else that I didn't talk about that you think was important or?
Yeah, you cover everything.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.